What's going on, guys? This is my X-Wing Imperial ships top 10 list. This is going to be my ranking of Imperial ships, and this is the top 10. I've already done 18 through 11, so if you haven't already seen that video, check that one out. Primarily, this is a list of my own opinion, but I'm using things like firepower, survivability, mobility, utility, and overall fun factor to influence my ranking. I also throw in some of my own opinion because there are certain ships that maybe I am a little bit more sentimental to than others, and maybe there's a certain ships that I think maybe I enjoy to play more than others. So I'll try to talk about those things. So this isn't saying that these are the best 10 ships. These are just my top 10. And if you disagree with them, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. It's totally okay. I am not a definitive source for X-Wing. I don't even play X-Wing nearly as much as I used to. I only play about once a week now, so it's like I'm not the ultimate source of X-Wing knowledge. So don't be too upset if your favorite ship wasn't my favorite ship. With all that said, I do want to, before I get into number 10, I also want to talk to you about Crabbok.com. If you have not already checked out my website, I have made a few changes. I've added an interactive videos section here, and this is just going to be a place where I'll be able to keep my interactive videos. And what these are videos where you can make a choice, kind of like a choose your own adventure book, and you can kind of follow along and take a different path and see where it leads you. I did this Escape from the Death Star, and this was using the Armada system. So if you're familiar with that game, you may have seen this one. I got a lot of good feedback. And also some criticisms, but it was fun. And I have this older one too that I don't know if some of you have ever seen, but it was an interactive decimator challenge. And this was just a way for you to try to survive a decimator with only a single X-Wing. And it was fun. This one may not work if you're on a mobile device though, because it's using the older system that YouTube used to have for clicking links. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe it works on most mobile devices now. So if you're looking at this from a PC, it may work, and give it a shot. But it takes a significant amount of time for me to put these together. So I didn't want them to just get lost in the middle of my channel. So if any future ones that I do will come here. I just thought I'd let you guys know about that. I also have in my guides section, I'm going to be covering Legion when that comes out a little bit more. So some of my terrain videos are going to be there, and as we do how to play videos and as we get all the rules and everything like that, you can look there, and I'll have some stuff for Legion there. And that's all I have to say about that. So check out Crabbok.com at your convenience, and let's get started with this top 10. All right, so my number 10 is going to be the TIE Advanced. There's a couple of reasons why this made the top 10. For one, I think that the TIE Advanced is my favorite Imperial ship in the out of all of the Imperial ships in the Star Wars universe. It's my favorite ship as a whole, not necessarily in this game. That's hence why it's only number 10. But it definitely gets some points for sentimental value with me. This TIE Advance started out in a difficult place in this game because it was originally seen as one of the least powerful ships, with only Darth Vader possibly being used. It has since gotten a fix when the Raider came out. It was given a title and an advanced targeting computer that you could take on it, which kind of turned it from a 2 attack die ship into like a 3+ or a 3.5 attack die ship. Having 3 attack dice effectively, with one of them being a guaranteed crit, really made the ship a little bit more respectable without making it overpowered. And so I don't think it was ever too strong. At best, it's been all right. And so, but considering the fact that it got a boost without being overpowered, I liked that. I liked the fact that it has 3 hull and 2 shields, so it's got 5 hit points total, so it's in the middle of the survivability spectrum, and that's good for Empire ships because they're usually really squishy. It has the evade, so that's also helpful, but it's still not super survivable because it's with only 5 hull. Even though that's good for the Empire, that's bad for the rest of the game. So it's not the end all be all, but it's got a lot of other things going for it. I think it's a fun ship to fly. I like multiple of the pilots. I really like that we got Juno Eclipse, so you're finally getting a character from the Force Unleashed. So we still didn't get Starkiller. I don't think we're ever going to get Starkiller. But it was nice to see Juno show up, and she's a lot of fun. She's not quite so predictable in where she's going to fly either, so I definitely like her. I really like Vader with the double actions, and I like that that there are a wealth of pilots now for this ship. So considering it's sentimental for me, I loved the toy for it as a kid. I like the ship. I mean, it's Darth freaking Vader's ship. It's awesome, right? So. I just wish it was more competitive, but that's okay. Part of me is kind of glad that it isn't. I think it's in a very comfortable spot, and so I have it kind of in the middle of the list here at number 10. I'm in the middle considering there's 18 total ships, right? All right, coming in at number 9, we have our Lambda shuttle. So the Lambda is actually kind of a surprise to me because this was in one of the earlier ships. This ship is very old. I believe it was in Wave 3 when this ship came out, so it's been out for a very long time. And it's surprisingly hasn't faded that much. It's still, I think, in a comfortable spot. It still seems kind of balanced. I mean, heck, for 21 points, you can get an Omicron group pilot, which has got 10 hull, or I'm sorry, 5 hull and 5 shield, so 10 hit points, and still rolls 3 attack dice. It's not bad for 21 points. And considering all the crew that the Empire has been getting lately, this was, especially when Palpatine came out, this ship would have been a little bit higher on my list. But since Palpatine has been nerfed a little bit, this was the ideal platform to carry an expensive crew like Emperor Palpatine because of the fact that he uses 2 crew slots, and here is like only a 21 point option to carry him. So that was great. And that's still good. He's still a good crew. He's just, I mean, I kind of think he's a little overcosted now, but it's still great for that. And some of the pilot abilities are still okay. None of them are really that great. I think like the best version of this ship is the Omicron group pilot. But it's nice for being as cheap as it is. And I think it's the price point that really makes me appreciate this ship. You've still got respectable survivability with your 10 hull. It's not a ship that is seen as being terribly threatening. So even though it only has 1 agility, people don't often, try to kill it right away. And the fact that it's got 3 attack dice is not half bad. It definitely has that huge weakness of having extremely limited mobility, but there are ways to fix that, and you can use it as a support ship with the 2 crew slots. And it has system too, so you can always do stuff there. And the system's nice, but I think the crew and being able to have a cheap ship that still has some teeth and can carry the Emperor or 2 crew, or it has a lot of options that you can do with this ship, and I think it's a price point that it was able to kind of keep it effectively priced for what it can do. And so I do like the ship, and I've got to give some bonus points too because it has moving wings, and that's awesome. And I know that probably doesn't matter to some of you, but it does matter to me because the theme is an important part. And it's so cool when the pieces move. I just think that's really cool, and it's not the most important thing, but I give it some bonus points because the wings move, and I think that's cool. I think that's really cool, as a matter of fact. All right, so on to number 8 is the VT-49 Decimator. So this was the first primary weapon turret in the Empire. Awesome ship. It was made such a splash when this ship showed up. It was amazing, and people really went crazy for this ship because 16 total hit points, right? 12 hull and 4 shields. Super tanky, but no agility, right? Well, I managed to actually do pretty well because you have so many automatic forms of damage now that the no agility isn't even that big of a deal anymore. Like if it had 1 agility and was going up against a twin laser turret, well, it still wouldn't matter, right? If it had 1 agility and was going up against bombs, still wouldn't matter. But you know what does matter? Those 4 shields and those 12 hull. So that's really nice. It's very survivable and has 3 crew, so you can put the Emperor on board here plus something else. You can put the Emperor and Vader on board this. Now, of course, you're not going to do that. Nobody's going to do that. But you could. But there's a lot of options. You have fair pilots, 3 attack die as a turret. It's nice. It's because it's got a turret. The mobility isn't that big of an issue because you don't have to line up people in arc. But nowadays, like there's only 2 things that make this ship not completely stellar are the fact that it's very expensive and the fact that 3 attack dice isn't really all that great because there's more ways that are getting consistent damage than 3 attack dice. The 3 attack dice are great, don't get me wrong, but they're just not super great. So if we ever saw like a 4 attack die primary weapon turret, that would be awesome, right? But or if this ship could natively fire twice, or something like that. But there's just so many, like it feels like over the years there's been damage creep, power creep, and power creep as it applies to damage output and guaranteed damage output. And this is while a turret is great, it's not this one is not, it may be seen as the same threat that it was when it first hit, but it's still formidable and still very, very strong and hard to kill, very hard to kill. So the Decimator is still very scary. All right, we're going to move on now and to our regular TIE Fighter at number 7. So the regular TIE Fighter, from the core set, launch ship, original ship. One of the things that's great about the original TIE Fighter is that it's got so many pilots. You have a ton of options with this ship. You have the core set pilots. You have the TIE Fighter expansion pilots. You have all the pilots that came with the Gazanti, which is far more recent, and there's some really good pilots there, so that much is really cool. It's also the cheapest ship for the Empire, so you can have a whole swarm of these guys, and they're great to just fill in wherever you want. It's also available as Pilot Skill 1, which makes for a fantastic blocker. With hard 1 turns and stuff, their dial's not half bad. Most of the Imperial ships can't do a 1 forward, which would be great as well. But considering they can do a barrel roll, they can do a hard 1 and then barrel roll. They have a lot of maneuverability. They have 3 agility. I mean, only 3 hull, so they're very, very squishy. But they're priced accordingly, so it's okay for them to be squishy because they are so cheap. It's just an all-around great ship. It's not amazing, but there's so many cool pilots, and there's things that you can do with the ship to make it better and really maximize it. I do like the TIE Fighter. There's so many ways to run them. Run a single Howl Runner with other ships just to boost them. Run maybe a full swarm, maybe a medium swarm. Maybe you've got like 2 strong ships and like, oh, I got like 24 more points. What do I do? Okay, boom, 2 TIE Fighters. There we go. Now I got some blockers and some people to go in there and just harass you a little bit and all kinds of stuff like that. There's so many options you can do with the TIE Fighter. So many really cool pilots too, between whether you're going to be sharing, dealing extra damage at range 1 with Maul or Mythal, or I'm not going to talk about every pilot. There's just a whole lot of them. I like the diversity an awful lot. So the TIE Fighter seems like it's stayed solid through the years with its point cost, and of course it's super iconic. It's the TIE Fighter, right? All right, let's move on. I think we're at number 6 now, the Upsilon class shuttle. All right, so here is kind of like just an overall upgrade over the Lambda. The only problem is it's more expensive. That's not that much of a problem. You are getting more. For one, you're getting 4 attack die, which is awesome. Another thing about this is you're getting an EPT. Only on the Kylo Ren version. You do have an EPT, so you can do some interesting stuff there. Here's a ship that can coordinate also, which is very cool. It's not terribly survivable with the agility of only 1, but it's got 6 shield and 6 hull, so 12 is fine. It takes some concentrated firepower to bring this thing down. Did I mention that I liked moving parts? Because this ship has them. The wings go up and they go down, right? Or they go straight up and then they kind of spread out. Looks awesome. I am a big fan of increased production quality in these miniatures, and every time they make a ship with moving pieces, it hits my geek spot, it hits my inner child, and makes me very, very happy. That's not why it's here, but it does get bonus points for that. But also, this ship is strong. We are seeing power creep, and 4 attack dice is awfully nice. It gives you some. It makes it an interesting ship to play as well because of the fact. I mean, like this expansion came up with a whole bunch of interesting new things you can do, whether it's through deployment options. It gives you a whole bunch of support type stuff, but it has teeth. It has serious teeth, so it can be a support ship and also one of your major attackers. It's not the most mobile ship out there, but it doesn't have to be. It's just awfully nice, and it's extremely threatening. I like it, and it moves, and it moves. It looks kind of like a Batman ship, though, right? All right. So that's the Upsilon. Let's keep going. Number 5, the TIE FO. So the TIE FO from Force Awakens, the First Order's TIE fighters. These guys are awesome, and we have a good selection of pilots for these as well, considering that we had a separate core set for these guys. We also had an expansion for them. There are some really, really strong pilots for this, like Omega Leader, who's awesome. But also, it takes kind of what's good about the regular TIE fighter and just makes it a little bit better, because you're going to pay a little bit more. You're paying like 3 points more, but you're also getting a shield. You're also getting the S loop. You're getting a different. You're getting a more versatility in maneuvers. You're getting more survivability. It's just a kind of an overall upgrade over the TIE fighter. And understanding that you get what you pay for, but if you were to put a shield upgrade on a TIE fighter, you still wouldn't gain the S loop. You still also wouldn't gain the new upgrade options. And so it's definitely, if you can afford it, it's worth it to take one of these over a TIE fighter. And so it's kind of hard for any of the the TIE fighter to compete with the First Order TIE fighter. It's kind of unfair, unless you just don't have the points. But if you do, it's generally worth it to upgrade to this. And that's the TIE FO. All right, now we're getting into the top 4, and there's going to be some. I think some of you might disagree with the way these are, and that's totally okay. But I'm going to do my best to explain my reasoning. So next we are at number 4. This is the TIE Aggressor. This is our newest Imperial ship that's out right now. Yes, I don't have any of the stuff in my list that hasn't come out yet. So yes, no gunboat. No, it's not out yet. But yes, this ship is really cool. It's the first Imperial ship that can take a turret. So here's our TLT platform. So that's already puts it very much in demand. This is also a really nice missile ship, because it's got the double missiles. Came with some cool, the unguided rockets are kind of cool also, because you can shoot those over and over again. So while it does have only a attack value of 2, you're probably not going to be using its primary weapon very much. It's all about spending more. Now, considering that it's not super survivable, but it's got a decent dial, and considering that it's got a turret, you don't have to worry about lining up shots. You can afford to fly this ship differently, and basically just arc dodge with this thing and just stay at range 3 and just fire the TLT if you can. It is a little bit tankier than a lot of your ties and of your cheaper ties, because it's a total of 5. So it's got more than a TIE fighter. It's got more than a TIE FO, although it costs a little bit more too. But 5 is all right. 5 is bare bones, for me to consider like taking it in a serious list. I think it's pretty hard for me to. It's difficult for me to take to justify to take this if it had less than 5, because it doesn't have any extra tricks. It's only got agility of 2, and it doesn't even have evade. It's not going to be able to dodge that many. It's not going to be able to take that many hits and cancel that many attack results. So it has to rely on the turret. I think this is a ship you kind of have to take with the turret. I don't even know if you really want to take unguided rockets with this all the time. I think you pretty much want to take TLT or some other turret with this pretty much all the time. But because it's the only version, only way you can take that with the Empire, it definitely gets a lot of points for that. I wish it were a little tankier. I wish it had one more shield. But yeah, it's a good ship. I'm having fun with it right now. I've been flying it lately, and I like it. I like it a lot. So that is the TIE Aggressor. It does look pretty cool too. It looks like a TIE Advance from the front, which gives it, makes me like it. But from the back, it looks kind of cool. It's almost like I want to put some flame effects on there, like it's a TIE Advance that got kind of blown apart, right? Yeah. All right, so moving up the list, we're going to move to number 3, and that is the TIE Striker. So I realize there may seem like a little contradiction, because I just talked about how 5 was kind of bare bones. The TIE Striker has even less than that, but it makes up for it because it has the evade, so that kind of makes up for having one extra shield. Also, it makes up for it in maneuverability. This is a very, very, very maneuverable ship, and it's I all right. I'm going to talk about the things I like about this ship. Adaptive ailerons is very, very cool. I do like that. It really gives it a ton of maneuverability. Like that upgrade quite a bit. I also really like the look of this ship. It's very. I was kind of on the fence about it, but it's a little bit bigger than the picture kind of leads you to believe. It's very nice looking on the board. And did I mention that the wings move? Like, oh, I love. Did I mention that I like moving parts? The wings look like a Klingon. They make it look like a Klingon bird of prey from Star Trek. I just love that they can go up or they can go down. That's not the most important thing about it, but just I really like that. Full disclosure, I like moving parts an awful lot. Now, looking past that, very very agile ship, very hard to if there's somebody, it's hard for somebody else to line it up just right. And so it gives you a lot of flexibility on where you want to be. So I like that, and I like that with the way it triggers too, because you get more choice in where you're going to be. So that part is very nice. It doesn't have boost, but you could always give it that. But it does have barrel roll. So this is almost like a complete upgrade over the Interceptor, and has more hull, and it has some really good titles too. Titles that are, I'm sorry, not titles, I mean pilots rather. Has some really good pilots that can have you rolling extra attack dice and give you more maneuverability. And so this some so some of these pilots for the ship are taking advantage of this ship's greatest strengths, which are maneuverability and attack. Make it more survivable or more deadly. It's also priced really competitively too. It's a very maneuverable ship. Only has the 2 attack die, or I'm sorry, the 2 defense die. This expansion did came with lightweight frame, which kind of helps to take advantage of that weakness as well. So there's just a whole lot of goodness with this ship. And I think it's a very fun ship to fly, and I love the moving parts too. That was just such a nice touch. Really, the only thing it could, that would make it better is if it had more hit points. It had some shields on it or more hull. But of course, then you're going to be paying for it too, and it's cheap enough that you can do a mini swarm out of stuff like this too. So, very very cool ship, fun to fly, and kind of at a time where people were wanting to try to focus on lining up shots and arc dodging more. This ship came out, and so it came out at a good time, I think too. So that's the TIE Striker. Next up, the Special Forces TIE. So I think some of you I don't know if everybody's going to agree with me having this quite up so high on the list, but I've enjoyed flying this ship so much that I had to put it higher than maybe I would have wanted to originally. So auxiliary arc. That's awesome, especially on a small base ship. It gives you a ton more options and makes you a lot bigger of a threat. Like that. I like the survivability. I like that you can shoot twice with this ship. I love that. I like that quick draw can have you shoot twice. I think that's just amazing. There's so many really, really nice ways to configure this. I've had those moments with quick draw where I've lined up and I had and this really did happen. I'm not making this up. Where I had a range 1 shot out of the front and a range 1 shot out of the rear, and I was able to push the limit. There's a thing where you can cancel the stress and take a damage, and then got to shoot during the activation 2 range 1 shots. And then got to shoot during combat 2 range 1 shots. I still managed to lose that game somehow, but I was able to, get 4 range 1 shots in a single turn out of this ship. It was really, really cool. So it definitely is a threat. One of the only problem I think right now is that this ship ends up being a target. So if you're running quick draw, for example, people are going to prioritize quick draw as long as quick draw has shields. Once the shields are gone, now all of a sudden quick draw's lost half of his teeth. But that's something you know going in. So but even the generics are nice. It's just nice having that rear arc. It's nice having the choice of doing 2 regular shots or 1 more powerful shot. So it's not exactly a 2 attack die ship. It's definitely a 2+. It's definitely more than two because you're either going to roll three out the front or two out the front and two out the rear, and that's great. So I like being able to shoot twice. I would like having multiple arcs. I like that it's got three shields and three hulls, so six is above the curve and puts it in a good spot. I like a lot of things. It seems like a very well balanced ship, and being able to shoot twice is just super cool. And the only bad thing I'm going to say about this ship is that it does look an awful lot like the TIE FO. It looks an awful lot like a first order TIE, especially since some people were like painting the red on their first order TIEs to make it look like this, because this is when when the movie first came out, people didn't realize what was what, and they just thought all the TIEs were the same. So it just stinks that it's the same. And I'm not blaming FFG or anything for that. It is what it is. There's two ships that look almost exactly the same, and you have to look at that antenna, and that's the paint make it slightly different. They designed these ships to be way too similar in my mind, but that's not much of a reason to bring it down. It's just a really fun and versatile ship to fly. Gives you options. I like it a lot. Definitely like it a lot. Okay, let's go to my number one. Number one, the TIE Defender. So the TIE Defender is, it's got three shields and three hull, so it's got the survivability. It was the first ship to have that white K turn, so it's got incredible maneuverability. The weaknesses that it used to have really been fixed. Like, it used to have a harder time turning, but there's things you can put that are tie only that are going to allow it to turn a little bit easier if you want to do that. There's a ton of better pilots for it now. It's got multiple titles, both of which give it all kinds of cool things. You can get point cost reduction and free evades, or you can equip a cannon and shoot twice with this thing. More pilots now that enhance all kinds of things, whether it's the damage or the maneuverability. There's all kinds of great stuff with this ship. This ship is one of the few ships that I think you can, if you're going to see an Imperial presence at a competitive event, it's reasonable to assume that there may be defenders there, because this is actually one of those ships that can be fun to play because of its maneuverability, but also is actually competitive. I know there are a lot of people that are saying like the Empire is not in a competitive place right now, but this is one of those ships that's really good. I think it is really good and still can compete. It absolutely can. Between three agility and three shields and three hull, it can survive. It does require a little bit of luck for it to survive for a long time, but even if you have no luck, it's got enough enough hit points basically to keep you in the game, and it's going to do a lot of damage too, and especially with all the new stuff that it got, it would really kind of put it over the top. So TIE Defenders, a lot of fun. They got hit a little bit with a nerf recently, where they nerfed the X7, but it wasn't that big of a nerf, and I think it made sense, and it just emphasized more skilled flying. Not enough to really hurt it though. So this is in my number one spot, and that's it, guys. That's the top 10. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'd love for you to let me know what I got wrong. Right? What do you think should have been, shouldn't have been on this list at all? Or what do you think maybe from my top 18 or from my 18 through 11 that should have been on this list? What do you think that I got totally wrong here? Or maybe do you agree? Let me know in the comments below, though. Let's have a discussion. I'd love to talk with you about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure I appreciate all this. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I do appreciate everybody who has subscribed. I appreciate the notification squad. Click the little bell to get alerts whenever I put something else out. I do appreciate all of you guys. You're awesome, and thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.